Hi, I'm Ruokangas and we'll do a little workshop tour at our guitar workshop. Yes. Yeah? Okay, follow me. Okay, so we are here now at our wood library. Somebody would call it storage, but we call it the wood library. And the reason for that is the ingenious way that we're storing the planks here. You know, not our invention. I think it is an old traditional English way for carpenters to store their wooden planks upright like this. And the reason is because this way, if I would be a one-man shop, I could go anywhere in my wood storage and take any plank out alone. Instead of these huge piles of wood where you need two people and it's very difficult to take the lowest one. So here we have access to every piece. So what you're seeing here is that it's mostly Arctic birch, different kinds, plain and figured and everything in between. And here's also some Finnish alder. And all the wood here is thermally aged. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what is thermally aged. People in America call it roasted tone wood or caramelized tone wood or torrefied tone wood or whatever. But it's a Finnish invention from the 90s. And we were one of the early adapters of this technology in the field of guitar making. Have been using thermally aged tone wood since year 2000, 1999, I think. Yeah.
Is the story true? Is the story true that it was kind of invented by accident, the whole process of?
It's sort of, yeah, partly. I think it's there's a fire chief in the mid-Finland, Osmo Savolainen, who you know, he kind of came up with the idea. This is the story I've heard, is that he, you know, when he's a fire chief, right? So he knows a lot about fire and what fire does to wooden constructions. So he could see the devastation of the, and then he also, they were using water to put down fires. And then somehow from these ingredients came the idea of, you know, that could you combine this steam and heat to modify wood. And his original idea was, whether it was an accident or not, I don't know, but his original idea was to find a way to make non-poisonous way of, you know, to making outdoor wood for children's playgrounds. Because traditionally, I mean, you could use these chemicals, but they're always poisonous, and the kids might be licking their toys they're playing in or whatever, right. You know. So he wanted to find a way to do that, and then went on developing it, and then I would say that the way the thermal treatment of wood then kind of, you know, came across in the world of guitars or tone wood, this was more or less an accident, for sure. It was just, you know, coincidence of people getting together who happened to have like knowledge from a different perspective. So there was a big study about the thermal treatment, what it does to wood, and there was like a university study, and they had taken some like electronic microscope scans of the cell structure of the wood, what happens to the wood and how it changes the cellular structure. And there was a professor, and then there was this from the University of Technology from Tampere, and then the inventor Osmo Savolainen of the method, and their paths crossed with Rauno Nieminen, who is the founding teacher of the guitar making school. And Rauno somehow saw those electronic microscope pictures, how the wood had changed, and Rauno remembered seeing an article about Stradivari violins being studied, also with electronic microscopes, and the image of the wood looked very similar. And that's where the idea came that could this be something?
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. And we use a lot of birch. That's definitely one of our trademark materials for the guitars, and we've kind of taken it to a level where I haven't seen other makers do it, because this kind of birch that we have here in these rooms, and this is not all of it. We have more in the cellar, in the attic, on outdoors drying. We have lots of birch, and I've been collecting it for 20 years, and I've kind of had to be able to have this library of it, because it's very scarcely available in quality like this, in the size like this. And, Finland is high up in the north, and the trees grow slowly, and birch, flamed birch, figure birch, there's no business infrastructure for it, meaning that nobody has a phone number to call to, that I want graded Arctic birch cut for, tone wood purpose, cut in a certain way. I mean, there is no such infrastructure in Finland, so these trees, they grow wild. They're not planted. They grow wild in the forests. And to be able to have this kind of a library, I've had to buy them plank by plank or log by log over the years. So we have a pretty big library. Maybe for, if I wouldn't be crazy enough to buy always more when I find nice stuff, we have already enough for several decades for using. But at the same time, the nicest pieces, it's very rare to find really super nicely flamed and figured birch. So I'm always kind of on the lookout for that a bit. And we've taken it to a level where we actually are. Here we see here. I mean, this is birch tops taken from the previous room. I mean, we've taken wood and made it into planks like so. Here would be one top, and then we slice that and we open it like book matched top, and we glue it together, and then we would have a guitar top like so. And this one has a serial number 1106C. C meaning carved. So this is thick enough to make a carved top guitar. And actually, if you go online and download our guitar creator, meaning like a 3D guitar configurator, if you open the Unicorn model or the Duke model, you will find this top in that wood library, in the top library. And you can choose that top in the configurator, and you can put any color you want on it. So you will see a pretty realistic simulation or mock-up of the guitar, how it's going to turn out. So it's pretty close to what you're going to get. And I think this, taken on this level, I don't know anybody else who does it, but have you seen?
Cool. It's pretty cool. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I haven't seen anybody do it kind of this way. I mean, configurators, yeah, nowadays everybody has it, or everybody can have it if they want. It's not very popular with guitar makers, and I can of course understand why. It's quite expensive, and for even for us it doesn't, like, economically speaking, it wouldn't probably make sense. I mean, it is so much work and such a huge effort, but it's my favorite thing one of the favorite things in the to come up with this concept where you can actually tweak the details you want in that online environment. I think it's kind of, and it's also, I like the fact that it's kind of a contradictory in a way. I mean, on making guitars, we're very traditional minded. We don't have the CNC and all that. So, the guitars, every guitar is made by one person, and it's kind of like really old fashioned and even slow, in some ways cumbersome. But we do it to make the best possible guitar every time. So we would kind of, and on the other side, we are then very, on the edge with the development online with our stuff, with the configurator and whatever we do online. So it's nicely kind of polarized two worlds and work together. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is the room dedicated for buffing the finishes. So we're doing just that here, and it's kind of like isolated from the rest of the workspaces. So we avoid bringing any wood dust or dirt here in that way. I mean, it's very dirty here, but all this stuff on the floors you see, it's in fact, that's the buffing compound, so it's kind of everywhere. But it's very luxurious to have this room separated from the rest of the workshop. And we have good lighting here, big windows, and this is where we buff guitars.
Nice.
All this stuff here, this is Spanish cedar, another one of our another material that we are quite well known for over the past 20 years. Nowadays quite popular among electric guitar makers, but when I started using it in the 1990s, it was very rare. Afterwards, I've learned that I wasn't the first one. There was an electric guitar maker, I think his name was Anno Galama. He might still be around. I've seen him last time maybe 10 years ago. He came to introduce himself to me at Frankfurt Music Messe years ago and congratulated me of using this material. And he was telling me that back in the 80s, he was making replicas of Firebirds and Les Pauls and Flying V's out of this material, but nobody wanted to buy them because it was so strange that he wasn't using mahogany. And I think this tells very much about the conservative nature of our business, how it was done with certain materials back in the day, so it's very kind of hard to break out from that routine. So so he actually didn't tell the customers, Anno Galama didn't tell his customers that they were Spanish cedar. He just lied about it. They're mahogany.
Wait, are you saying guitar players are conservative?
Yeah, but I mean, people loved the guitars. But when he told them that it's Spanish cedar, all of a sudden they were like, I'm not so sure it's that good, So it's kind of weird. Luckily, all that has changed. But it was hard for me also in the beginning to convince people to buy guitars made out of this wonderful tone wood. Yeah. And the numbers here, this is actually, it's the density of each piece of these that we have here. So we have measured the size and the weight of each piece here and calculated the density so that we could tell. Then we have in our books, we have certain criteria for, solid body unicorn classic. We can't use heavier than certain density to get to the weight point where we want to get that, meaning under 4 kilos. So, and so on and so on. So heavier piece we could use for some semi-hollow guitar, or that's the numbers. Secret numbers. Now you know. Do you want more wood stuff, or
sure?
No, yeah, okay. So here we have Canadian rock maple. Also thermally aged. All this stuff here. Good stuff. Big stuff. Yeah. And we use for bolt-on guitar necks. And here we have rosewood, Indian rosewood, Brazilian rosewood, maple, ebony, birch, Arctic birch fretboards, quite popular for certain models. Yeah. And for those guitar maker viewers of this video, another little idea for your wood storage is to use these things. Or I don't know if that's available elsewhere than in Finland, actually. Do people have these in kitchens, like, the drying shelves for your dish?
I think it's a Finnish invention, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't even know what it's called.
Not available for you guys, only for Finnish. Yeah, so this is what we have in the kitchen cupboards. When we have, wet cups and plates and things, and we put them on these shelves to dry. So we are.
I'll find out the word.
Yeah.
As a translator.
Yeah. So this kind of trays, whatever they are, we're using these now in a different way too. So again, the same idea that the pieces of wood can be freely here and air around nicely, and we can get out any piece we want and put it back. Now it's getting more noisy. Is that okay with this? Or?
I think so.
Okay. So let's move on. Okay. So we're entering to the wood workshop. I think this is pretty similar to every other wood workshop you've seen, maybe, but yeah, we have all the traditional machinery here, like band saws and planers and sanding machines, and a couple of old pin routers here. Yeah, I could tell you a story of that pin router though. This one. You recognize the mascot on top of it, right? Yeah. At some point, I named this machine the Iron Fist. Those of you who are familiar with Motorhead know that Motorhead has an album called Iron Fist. I think it's from 1982 or something like that. But the guys insist not calling it Iron Fist though. They call it the thumb router. It's the thumb router. You want to hear that story? Are you sure you want to hear that story? Okay. 1999 December, Saturday afternoon. I was at the workshop working alone. I mean, this was at a time when I was still a one-man shop. And I was preparing for my first Frankfurt Music Messe. And I had 6 guitars in the making. So this was December 1999, and the first Frankfurt Music Messe, where I was exhibiting, was happening 3 months later, in March 2000. And I was there routing necks with this machine. And then, I was tired. I should have gone home already by then. but I was thinking that maybe one more. And then something happened. The pin dropped. I mean, it's a machine where there's kind of like a pin coming from the table. You don't see it now, but it's sticking up from there. And then the router bit cuts from the above. So the pin is kind of the controller. It controls where, it kind of follows the template. And then the router bit cuts from above. And then the pin dropped in the middle of me routing those necks. And then in a split second, I lost control of the piece, and this happened. And I dropped half of my thumb on the table. It was literally there on the table. Thumb router. Yeah. So I can tell the story has maybe a happy ending, but I dropped the thumb there, and it was, you can imagine, I mean, it was kind of like this little electric shock, no pain, but just little shock, like what happened. And then I see my thumb there, and then I see the kind of like broken end of a bone. I'm sorry, this is getting like brutal. Gore.
I think
you need to censorship, K16 or something. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm there thinking, I should probably call an ambulance. And out of some intuitive, I don't know from where, I grab a piece of paper and I roll the piece of thumb here, and I hold it here, like so, and I go call an ambulance. And the ambulance comes, and and they shoot morphine to my butt, and then it's like this happy haze on the way to the Helsinki hand surgeon appointment, or the emergency appointment with the surgeon. I'm there thinking that all will turn out well, probably because of the morphine, and I'm there, envisioning the future. And okay, then we fast forward a few hours later, after the operation, I'm there sitting at the doctor's appointment, and he tells me that that you need to take it easy for a few months, that you can't use the hand. You need to let it heal properly. And then he tells me that luckily it's your left hand. And I'm there, I'm left-handed. I play guitar right-handed, but I mean this is my working hand. So I'm left-handed guy. So I'm there shocked. Frankfurt Music Messe 3 months away, and the doctor tells me not to work. So I take the train to my hometown, and I walk to the workshop from the train station. I'm there standing in the middle of the mess I had left there, and thinking to myself that, screw it. I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna make these things with my right hand. And I'm gonna go to Music Messe in 3 months. I'm gonna finish these guitars, and I'm gonna go there. And it's a true story. I really, crazy time of my life, probably one of the craziest times of my life. I was working day and night, and learned to do fret dressing and learned to do all that stuff with my right hand. And a few months later, I was there. I showed my guitars at the Frankfurt Music. I guess thumb router is it's an okay name for it.
So people, if you have ever heard of Finnish people being stubborn?
Yeah. Well, but life teaches us things, and life teaches us things about finding a balance in life also. So it's not necessary to work so very much, I think. Later on, I've started thinking that way. Yeah, we even actually, to continue that theme, we nowadays have kind of like a protocol here that we work only 5 days a week and normal working days, so we don't overwork. It'll be very exceptional that we might in some situation, but never as a routine. We don't do that, and I think it's better that way.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. What you see on the walls, this is all the templates, since we don't have the CNC or anything like that, so we use these templates to make guitars. Here you see Duke, the Unicorn Supersonic, and a piece of our prototype piece of our Emma Maria. Hardtop acoustic. Yeah, one of the very first ones, and I don't know what else. Yeah, well, he could be something cool. You saw some of the Arctic birch there. That's raw lumber. Here's one piece, soon to be finished, and yeah, there's another one. There's a funny drawing there. It's gonna be wood carving of a lizard. Sending regards to Daniel to Singapore. Yeah, it's in the works. It's happening. Yeah, and what else? Here is, you can take a peek into our spray booth. Nothing going on in there right now, but this is a spray booth. You can see there some guitars being finished. And here is one, the Unicorn guitars with the new valve bucker pickup coming here. This is going to be for our dealer in Germany, Musikhaus Jever. Regards to Holger. Yeah. We're moving on to not so noisy rooms. So here we have different kinds of working spaces, like working. This machine, another buffing machine, only meant for buffing frets. And here is a working station made out of an old architect drafting board from the 50s. So it's hydraulic system where this is dedicated for one specific task. So we can attach a guitar to this bench or a neck, and we profile the fret ends here. Because that's one of the things that our guitars are. Well, we're not the only ones who are making that kind of frets, but maybe we were one of the early ones who brought this kind of like dome-shaped fret ends to guitars. We're going really to the nerdy stuff now, but maybe not interesting for most of you, but some of you. So this is where we shape them. The reason why it's like this is that we have people keep asking about it also. That how we guitar makers, hobby builders, and professional builders, they keep asking about it. How do we shape those? While I'm not going right now into the detail of how we exactly shape them, but I can tell you that there is no secret around it. It's no secret. It's just a lot of work. And every fret end needs to be profiled individually to that dome shape with files and with sanding paper. And we have special files that we buy from jewelers, tool shops, and we modify them to work for us even better. And in this workstation, we can have free access around the fretboard to the fret ends from every angle. And so, depending on the luthier, he can sit down or work standing up so that he has a good ergonomic position for working. So you can turn it into kind of any position you want.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And here we have a bit messy looking table for doing the electronic stuff, and a setup station here with the Peterson strobe tuner. The real thing, the real strobe tuner. And here a lot of stuff. We have a lot of, like guitar makers have a lot of stuff. We have here these very long drawers where we have bridges, we have all the, all the tuners and a lot of stuff. Yeah. A recycled cabinet from a pharmacy. They used to have their drugs in it. We have here the drugs for the guitar addicts. So here we are in the assembly room where Lari and Jyrki are doing what they do best. Jyrki is doing her setup actually for a Hellcat for a customer, and Lari is assembling a very nice looking Duke Artisan that will ship to Germany soon. Can I touch it?
Yep.
That's a nice one. A fancy one, very fancy one. Yeah. Yeah, this building where we're at, it's a long history that dates back, I think, not this particular building, but the history of this manor dates back to the 14th century. That was the time when the evil Swedish king and his and his army and the Christians invaded Finland, and with the, what is the term for that? Ristiretki. Crusades. Yeah, the Crusades. Yeah. So we became the slaves to the Swedes, the Swedish king. Yeah, and they built the Swedish empire. Or the kingdom. They built Hämeenlinna, the castle of Häme. That is about 10 kilometers that way north from here. And this area, the Harviala Manor, the son of king. They built a manor for the son of king here, somewhere here, and then there's a long history of how the ownerships have changed through the centuries, and then eventually it has become a guitar manor of some sort. At least one of the buildings. This building was built 1896, as far as I've been correctly informed, and modified then in 1916 to a garage where the Rosenlew family kept their Rolls-Royce and their Chevrolet. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. There's pictures, photos there, and the whole. Yeah. So and they used to come here. More funny details. We have lots of pheasants here. Fasani, pheasants.
Some,
you know the birds,
yes,
like a big, like chicken-alike birds, but more colorful, bigger, longer tail. But they're as bad flyers as chicken. Anyways, we have a lot of those here in Harviala. Why this? What does this have to do with the guitars? Nothing. But the matter of the fact is that we had here like a hatchery for pheasants. Or the rich people had a hatchery for pheasants. It was kind of like the fox hunting in England, So they would, hatch pheasants and then release them, and then the rich folk would shoot them. before they go too far. Very fun, I guess. Horrible. I've seen pictures of like these lines of pheasants killed and yeah, whatever sport it was, I don't know. But so we have still a lot of pheasants here when they're walking around here everywhere. And important people like Mannerheim and presidents, politically important people have come here to moose hunting and to shoot pheasants. What a strange world we live in. But anyway, I think it's kind of cooler that we make now here guitars than shoot pheasants.
Thank you.